open up city council business meeting for Thursday, December 1st, 2022. It is 6 p.m. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Reba. Here. Cool,
Here.
Livingston. Here. Mayor Tom Phillips.
I'm here as well. We do have quorum, so we will move on. Item 2 is pledge of allegiance. Would you please rise, say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3 is approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to move any of the consent agenda items to the regular agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? We're also going to remove item 7M and 7N. Those should not have been on this agenda. There's some miscommunication from John and Amy from Dorsey Whitney, and so we're going to take those off the agenda tonight as well. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Livingston, seconded by Lester. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Let's see, item 4, welcome guests and public comment. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate your attendance. If you'd like to address council, now would be the time for non-agenda items. I will give you 3-minute time limit on those. Realize we can't take any action on those non-agenda items since they're not on the agenda. Also, if you'd like to comment on any item in the consent agenda, now would be the time. Anybody care to address council tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on. We don't have any presentations, so consent agenda. We have tax expenditures, tax abatements, November 17th, 2022 minutes of the regular city council meeting. We have a renewal of Class C retail alcohol license for Casey's General Store, 500 North Avenue. We have a new 5-day Class C retail alcohol license for Top It Off Liquid Catering for 340 Wright Road, effective December 10th through 14th, 2022. We have resolution setting December 15th, 2022 for a public hearing regarding a rezoning request for 1305 Sunset Drive to establish an infill PUD. A resolution to approve pay estimate number 2 to JB Holland Construction Incorporated for Colonial Parkway Regional Stormwater Detention Facility Project. A resolution setting date for public hearing on designation of the expanded Norwalk urban renewal area and on urban renewal plan amendment. We have resolution to approve pay estimate number 4 to Howry Construction for construction of the Great Western Trail Connection Project Phase 3. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reba. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Livingston. Yes. Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba. Yes. Cool.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Item 6F is resolution approving general services agreement with Impact Community Action Partnership.
I have just questions, I think. I don't know.
Okay,
And
go for it.
Maybe I'm not as, I don't know. How much of our dollars go to management and fundraising for this organization? Why Impact, not another local organization that does the exact same thing? I'm just looking at this saying, I feel like there's other organizations locally that do this that are based in Norwalk, not based in Moines. And for me, I'm asking questions. These all popped in my head really today. I've thought about this one for a while and it popped in my head today that.
I know one of them is that Des Moines Waterworks works with Impact for water. To help
Well, we have a,
water bills.
are you talking about Norwalk Nice, that portion of our
No.
agreement, or just, oh, low income for, yes, for the water. Yeah, they do have that program as well. That's a separate contract. This,
comes
they
through-
request this
That
on an
comes through
annual
Impact,
basis.
doesn't it?
Say that again?
That comes through Impact, right?
Correct. They do
They do.
manage that as well.
They
Yeah.
manage our Norwalk Nice, but
Yeah.
I was just curious because this is not that part of it. This is others. And
Okay.
I just wasn't sure what they're doing. I don't know. For me, it was more of a, what are we doing, sending money to Des Moines?
Yeah. Well, they tie the money. You see the letter they send? That's why I like them to send this. They talk about the individuals that are served.
I
in
would rather see.
Norwalk.
I don't know, I guess I feel like they're double counting somewhere in that, and some of the numbers just don't add up to me. I struggled with this one.
Looks like a pretty nice return on investment. from the
It
letter,
does.
But maybe we should ask them to stop in and do a presentation sometime.
We could do that.
Did we do that 3 years ago? 3 years ago. I remember something about it, but it was
I
not.
did because I didn't understand what they, I had the same questions.
Isn't it more that you want a different or a more specific accounting?
I wanted more specific
Right,
accounting
so
and make
can't we
sure that it
ask-
was Norwalk residents being served with the money that Norwalk came
I
in.
mean, maybe that's.
And they did give that accounting
Yeah,
before.
but maybe we ask for it again or an update on the accounting, right? Because that's really
That's where I'm at.
the
Yeah.
issue is, I think.
And I'm honestly okay with it. I had questions that popped up in my head as I was thinking about the front end.
So let's get them in.
Is everybody okay approving it as is and then, and by having them come in contingent upon them coming and presenting to us once? Is that? I'm either way. I can approve it, but I'd
don't-
like
yeah,
them to come
I
in.
don't care, but I want to be clear about the purpose of their coming. Right? I don't need them to come and tell us what impact does.
Yeah.
I want them, and I don't care if they come or if they just send us a more specific accounting.
Perfect.
I don't, right, that's for me. I want to see what the numbers are more specifically, but they don't need to come and do a 20-minute presentation on what impact does.
Well, and they say in this letter, there's 776 families that they didn't reach because of the poverty line, but I would say that's a weird statistics because people that are retired that are under the federal poverty line, but aren't necessarily needing the services. So I've always kind of questioned that, but I don't know.
Well, I think, does the staff have a pretty good understanding for the questions we have?
Yeah.
So that, you know, you could maybe ask them for a letter of explanation.
Yes.
So I guess I'll make a motion
To approve,
to approve.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All right, so I got a motion by Cool, seconded by Livingston. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7 is old and new business for consideration, discussion, and possible action. 7A is a resolution approving shared parking and utility costs finance agreement with Sportsplex USA for shared parking lot and utilities for Norwalk Central Sports Campus. So to gain some economies of scale in the construction of the parking lot and utilities, we'd like to combine that work together and enter into an agreement with Sportsplex so they'll pay for their share of that shared infrastructure. So Holly, I'll let you take it from here.
That was a good summary. So since we went out to bid a couple of weeks ago, we did bid them together, these projects all together, so that we could share in the cost and savings and mobilization. And since we have that northern parking lot that is connected with Sportsplex Outlot and their private parking off to the east, we decided that it would just make the most sense to just go ahead and have the entire parking lot constructed at once, and the utilities as well, all kind of interconnect between our buildings and our different lots. It just makes the most sense to have it all done now. There's also 2 entrances off to the east of that northern parking lot off of East 18th, that one of them basically comes onto the city's property, and then one of them is on Sportsplex property, but we really need them both at the same time for circulation and fire movement and everything. So we came together with our internal group, finance, the attorneys, lenders, and came together with an agreement to work out the portion of Sportsplex shared costs of that area into an agreement that they would pay the city back over 5 years. The balloon payment on year 5 at 6.2% interest based on Gene's numbers. And I think their original intention, and Pat is here from Sportsplex if he wants to talk about it, but I think their original intention was to have that piece just privately financed when they sell that outlot or find a tenant to build on that outlot maybe in the spring. And Luke or Jim, if I missed anything, or Pat, you want to? Any questions?
I just brought up a map in case folks need any explanation about what's shared, what's Sportsplex and what's a city. I didn't have anything to add. I don't know if Jim.
I guess the only thing that we'll have a second mortgage on their outlot that they have there on the east end of the parking lot. For a little bit of security. Also, there's in the agreement, we got provisions that if they fail to make any of their payments, we have the right to offset any monies we owe them through our development agreements, our TIF payments and our rebates. We will be able to offset any of that stuff through those payments if they don't if they do not make timely payments. So that's kind of the security we have in there for fronting the money. But really what this is we are loaning the money to Sportsplex for these shared facilities at this point in time.
Questions, comments, discussion, council?
This is really because we're sharing the contractors or subs that are putting in the particular thing, right?
Right.
So it's an economy of scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we want it done sooner than they had planned to do.
Yeah, and we also want to save a few bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do, right? We save overall, it saves about 100,000.
Which is nice.
Yes.
Motion.
Second.
I had a point.
Sorry.
So in all these, excuse me, documents, this agreement, the cost sharing agreement, all the other contracts, I would like to see Sportsplex USA LC or whatever their official legal name is to be the same in all documents, and it should match the irrevocable letter of credit so that there's no confusion about which Sportsplex is which, in case there's another one. And the same thing, just all of the different parties to the agreement have their name consistent everywhere, whether it's in construction bid documents, these documents. De Novo's name is different in different places too. So if we could just get them all their legal correct name, that'd be great.
Agreed. But notwithstanding that, right, we have a
Yeah,
motion and
they
a
can-
second. I think we could.
Right, they can
I'm
correct.
sure I heard him fully say second. He said like set. Stop. So
Okay, sorry.
I probably want
You
to
want to repeat
amend
yourself?
my motion to include what she said.
okay,
And I'm willing to amend my second.
all right.
Let us move.
Okay, so I got a motion by Baker, a second by Cool. Any public comment? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7B is resolution approving construction reimbursement agreement with Sportsplex USA for private parking lot related improvements. Those are bid alternates A and C. Holly, I'm just gonna let you take this one.
So this agreement is the red outlined area there. So basically the private parking lot, the Sportsplex is building to the east and south of their building there. That one, they already have financing in place for. We talked to their lenders. We have documents from their lenders that say it's ready to draw upon. But since we bid this together again to save all of us time and money, we are accepting, if you as council accept the bids later tonight, we would be accepting those bid alternates A and C on their behalf. So with that, we just had to have some sort of document tonight in front of you to prove that they have the money to pay for that. And we have an irrevocable letter of credit as well, that their lender provided, showing that we have that access and set aside. So that's what this document is for.
All right. Questions, comments, discussion, council?
Well, my comment last time covered this.
Yes.
Okay.
For the
Do we
names.
anticipate a problem meeting that request?
It's just a global search replaced the name. I should take.
Okay, but I mean, if there's like several, if there are in fact different entity names for a reason.
I think it's just everybody, when they type it up, they think it's supposed to be spelled a certain way.
Okay.
It's something.
That's fine, then. That's all I was looking for.
Mhm.
Anything else? Any public comment?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reva. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7C is continuation of a public hearing regarding Norwalk Civil Core Project. So as indicated in the title, this is a continuation of public hearing that we held from last meeting on just the civil portion of the core project. So Luke, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Well, we do have Tyler with De Novo. Was Brian gonna be here? Okay. So what they're doing, we gave an update at the last meeting. We kind of stepped through the process. The fact that we did separate bid packages for earthwork, paving, landscaping, and utilities. Part of what Brian is planning to present are what the low bids are and what we're moving, what's being recommended to move forward. The agreements that we just looked at, items A and B, were a factor in determining which were the low bids. So generally, we like to have all the recommendations all put together ahead of time, well in advance of a meeting. But with today, some of those agreements just being settled out today, we had to wait on some of that information. But knowing that Brian is probably going to have a key to the information, Mayor, I don't know if you'd be interested in maybe moving on to a couple of the other items and then coming back
We
with
can
this
go
one.
down. Get on down here a little ways. Let's go to item 7K. Oh, item 7K is a resolution terminating the development agreement with Hy-Vee Incorporated. So our development agreement with Hy-Vee has actually expired, but we actually need to take action to rescind that agreement. This is being done to allow a developer to build an entrance to the north of their location, and it's to the south of the entrance contemplated in the Hy-Vee development agreement. So Holly, I think you can explain this a little better, but
Yep, just generally speaking, the development agreement is very expired at this point, and other developments are starting to take place around it. And so we need to be able to, move forward with the active developments around that area, and, absolutely ready and willing to talk to them again when they're ready to develop on their site. But it's just a standard procedure that we do now when they're fully expired and we need to move on to other developments. So.
okay. Questions, discussion, comments from council?
We reached out to them and they had no comment. Correct.
Correct. Any public comment?
The state of one of these, it has the date 2020. On page 4 of 5.
We'll get that changed before signature.
Good find. Anything else? Okay, so I got a motion by Reva, seconded by Livingston. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7L, resolution approving retail strategies agreement. So Holly, I'm going to let you explain this one.
So several years ago, I looked into hiring a company like this back when I was with the county, and we just didn't have it in the budget. But I had heard, really successful stories come out of other communities that had hired this type of a group. But basically, it's a nationwide company that their whole purpose is to recruit retail to communities. And I mean, I know we have an economic development department, and we are small. There's just 2 of us doing economic development, and one is designated to communications and marketing. And as you know, my one new person is learning, doing well, but he will be very focused on the Southwest Industrial Corridor and a lot of that certified site piece for the first couple of years. And I just feel like with such a small staff and such a large responsibility to increase our commercial tax base, all hands on deck, any help that we can get would be very valuable. Within my approved budget, we have the commercial improvement grant program that we have $150,000 a year set aside to go towards existing smaller or just existing businesses, buildings in town that want to do improvements on the facade or interior value added types of improvements. And it's been a very successful program. The application slowed down a little bit in the last couple of years, maybe partially because of COVID, but I think part of it is because we've helped so many of those older buildings that needed improvements. They've been improved. So talked to Gene and we just talked about just diverting some of those funds or shifting some of those funds over for a couple of years towards this program. They recommend that you commit to 3 years because as we know, commercial development projects take forever, but we aren't tied into 3 years. You can do year by year if you want to. So just knowing how long developments take, I would like to try it for 2 years. And then if we see success with it and we at least have some really good leads that are moving forward, then maybe we take on that 3rd year. So the first year is 50,000 and the following years are 45. And Chris and Ty have done quite a bit of research into this company and the different cities that they've worked in Iowa and retailers that they've recruited. They really focus on the traditional based retail. So they're not going after any kind of industrial or anything like that. It's just product and service based, lots of restaurants. They've had some really good success in some of the communities. I think we included some of that in the packet. So I just feel like it's worth a try when I have the budget available to do it for a year or two. And I think we'll know pretty quick into it if it's not for us or if we don't feel like they're really working as hard as we want them to. But they do have national relationships with these retailers, which is something that individual cities don't have. I don't have a national relationship with Chick-fil-A that I can go to their corporate and talk to them about our sites. So you have to dig through a lot of weeds to get to the right people when you're trying to just hard sell somebody. So I just think that this might be something worth a shot. The other thing that they do is they will meet with the individual brokers. So they're not replacing our broker. So if somebody is listing land, say in Norwalk Central, this company would go to them. This company doesn't get commission. They're only being paid by us. So if somebody within this company sells Chick-fil-A onto a piece of land in Norwalk Central, they would go to Justin Lobster and it would still be his commission. So that way there's no stepping on toes. It's just extra help for everybody.
So I understand, because I don't know if I do, okay? So on a project inside the city where we don't own the property, somebody else owns the property. Okay, so how do they work with the developer and the developer to promote that?
So they're kind of an extension of our staff. So it's the same way we would. So all of our listed properties that we have in Norwalk, we have out on a database called LOIS, Location One Information System. And then there's, the regular databases that have all the commercial properties listed. And then we have an internal listing of the properties that aren't listed by a broker, but we know they're available. Maybe just a landowner doesn't have a broker on it. So we keep a listing of that. So this group would work with those listings. And so if they do have somebody, keep using Chick-fil-A, because I love them. But if they did have somebody interested in a site, they would come to the city first and say, hey, we're looking at this particular site. You want us to talk to them or do you want to talk to them? If they're the broker, they'll connect them with the broker and they'll just start from there. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
So this is coming out of the commercial improvement for funding area. How many have you done this year?
We have one active application right now. We did,
How many dollars?
I think total we've done 15 since we've had the program.
How many dollars for the current one?
They'll qualify for the full 50,000. Each applicant can qualify for up to $50,000, but they also have to spend that in order to get reimbursed on that. So
I just don't like to bring money to children. I think that's a worthwhile program to put money into, and that's why we budgeted for that program a year ago. I don't know. I guess I could question why so many of these national places that they're going after go off rooftops. And we haven't hit a rooftop number for them. So I don't know why we're spending the money. We have to hit the rooftop number for most of these national things.
well, that's part of what they do is they determine what we qualify for. So they do all of that research and they know which retailers or which commercial companies we do have enough traffic count and rooftops for population. They'll filter all of that out.
How would you pay for it if I said, if we all said the commercial grant program, don't touch it, how would you pay for it?
I wouldn't have the money. We'd have to budget it in the future if we had enough new TIF.
What's the fiscal year for the commercial grant program?
What's fiscal year?
Yeah, like what's the cycle? What's the year cycle? When does the year start for the commercial grant program?
Oh, yeah, just our regular,
Yeah.
Calendar year?
July 1, yeah.
July 1. Okay.
Fiscal.
And so it's December. In July 1, we've got one active application for 50,000 presumably.
Right.
Right. Okay. So I don't feel like this year you'd be diverting money away, taking money away from somebody who wants it, right? We're 6 months into it and there's not been an application.
We didn't-
Or,
Right.
We'd have to catch it in the next budget, I think. You know, as a separate item, right?
no, I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, we could use some of the money this year and it wouldn't be diverting it because it's sitting there unused.
Right.
But when the next budget cycle comes up, in order not to short that fund, we'd have to appropriate money specifically for this.
Assuming that it would short the fund if we use it,
Right,
right?
that's
This
right.
year we have a surplus, and if I understand what Holly's saying is
Right.
that it is likely that that will be the continued trend because we've helped so many already that there are fewer that
Yeah, we can hope.
need or want the help.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. We can hope that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying if there would be a demand for those funds, then we could just come in, we'd have to appropriate for that.
If we were to do a year by year, right? So if we were to do this year, and see that they're putting a lot of effort and we're getting a lot of interest or traffic or whatever, or see that they're not, and we're not getting any interest or traffic. Is it, if we decide to renew it the second year, is it still 45 if we do it on a year by year?
Yep.
The only other piece I have is the size of our community compared to the others. Are we gonna be their smallest community they work with?
No, I definitely do not think we're their smallest community. I know that their cities in Iowa that they've worked with. I mean, Dubuque, we did a lot of research into. I know
How
they're not the
big's
same
Dubuque
size as
compared to
us. Yeah. And they had 15 businesses. they
He
recruited.
sent me one that had a population of 9,000 when I was asking for comparable markets.
Where were they out of?
I'd have to look in my email. I want to say Oklahoma, maybe. So I was
Was it
trying to
from
narrow it down to our demographic and, comparable to Norwalk and things like that. But I wanted also a sizable population. So he sent me over a couple.
I know it's a risk. I mean, it definitely is, and I didn't do it several years ago. I just did not have the funding for it at the county, but again, just being a very tiny staff, a lot to do. It would be a cheap way to have an extra employee, I guess, for a year or two.
And speaking with the gentleman in Dubuque, I mean, he was very happy with them, gave a very glowing review. It was nice to kind of get that one-on-one opinion. All except for one business that he brought to them is they're all still open, and it was Carter's Children's Store is the one that closed, and that wasn't anything, on the city's portion. That was, a COVID and shut down across the US. So, they're very happy with it. Granted, Dubuque is, larger than us, but to hear that feedback was very positive for me.
I think this program doesn't make sense to me because the city doesn't own real estate. The city doesn't own land. It has some insider knowledge on what parcels might be coming up. But I guess I don't understand why we're spending effort recruiting retail. To me, the developer has bought land, developed it, it's going to put up retail. Building it is the developer's responsibility to then recruit the tenant. And these national firms like Coldwell Banker or CBRE, whatever they're called now, or Jones Lang. I mean, they go to all these national conferences. They have all of these connections. And I mean, I guess if retail strategies were to bring a tenant to CBRE and that lease was signed, seems to me CBRE should be paying the city a commission for giving them that. I mean, so it doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense to me to have CBRE hiring this firm and not the city.
Yeah, I guess the way that we look at it is just it's an extension of our staff. I do that anyway. I don't own land here, but we recruit people. That's what we do. So it's just an extra help. And yes, the brokers and the landowners will benefit from it, but ultimately we'll be getting those new property taxes. We'll be getting an extra, chunk of sales tax, excuse me, every year from the local option. And that's one thing they track a lot, which I've not been tracking very well, and I will start doing that, is the local option sales tax sliver that we get off of all of this new commercial that comes in. We've just been really so focused on the property taxes and that value there for TIF. But when he sent these spreadsheets showing the new value that comes in from that, just that local options piece was really significant to some of these communities. So those combined, I feel like that's our benefit, is just having that extra help to get those dollars in the door.
So I would be in favor of modifying your request to approving it for a year with the option to renew. I would like to, I appreciate your comment of it, it's a cheaper employer or employee for a year. But I want to see what they do, what they're really going to bring to us. So I would be in support of that.
I think I'd be in support of that too, under those circumstances. I've got the same questions, as far as the responsibilities and interaction between private property and us, right? But maybe if we try it for a year, we'll see how that works, right? And see if that's a success or a failure for it. But Polly's right. It would be like an extension of the staff or an enhancement of the staff temporarily, I guess. Because they basically do the same mission now. Not just for publicly owned property, but they try to help get businesses in the town for all the property.
So they run as a buffer between the companies and the landowners and or developers. And so if you / your staff doesn't get involved until there's a signed purchase agreement. Would that be the case?
I think we would still be doing a lot of what we do on the front end, but they would be making those really critical connections that we have a harder time making. Aldi's, for example, Ryan's in the room, he knows he's a retail guy, but trying to get a hold of Aldi's just to look at us, it's like, good luck. But if this group has placed Aldi's in certain communities in the past, they can call them up and say, hey, remember these last 6 cities that you're successful in? We want you to look at Norwalk. So it's that kind of extra assistance that is really helpful.
My other question is wondering about timing. It appears nationwide there's kind of a pullback and expansion by different companies and different chains, franchises, whatever you want to call it. They mentioned this, or have you seen that? Is it maybe the timing would be better if there's a delay? They're more interested in talking, and then when they're ready to go, we would be in a better position. I'm having a tough time. I can argue with myself on that.
Something that the company representatives talked to my staff and I about was that a lot of the communities they're working in, they have some barriers because they're either landlocked or they're just out of commercial available land, and they're far from a metro, or they have all these things that are really difficult to get these retailers interested in looking, but that's what they do. And they said that with Norwalk, it's almost going to be easy for them because of where we're located, because we have available commercial land, especially Norwalk Central. And they had a list of retailers that they're looking at that would qualify for specifically that would fit into Norwalk Central. So I think that they do a lot of that background. They're also willing to come and do a presentation if council wants that, or provide more background information on how they do this. But
Thank you. Do you see a detriment of making a 2-year commitment versus a 3? That they don't feel, do you see a detriment?
I don't think so. They said that that's common. People will be a little bit nervous about going into 3 years. They just they recommend it because we all know how long projects take. But I don't know, we've been moving pretty quickly on some of ours, so maybe ours will be fine in a year or two. We'll know for sure if we have some solid contracts.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I feel like we know right now we have at least a year's the money for a year.
Money at least.
And if it looks like it's gonna pay off, then we have the ability to say, let's extend it or whatever.
So we also have a pretty significant investment going on up there to develop.
Right.
Faster the better.
Wouldn't hurt to grease the
Less
shoe.
merrier.
So
So one thing that's popped up in the last minute and a half's worth of discussion is that this is being geared towards one development. And I've mentioned this a couple different times that I'm not a big fan of doing that, and that's gonna run off of Stephanie's talk of why is the developer not here saying, hey, here's half the money to do this? Because if the developer put up half, I'd be game to do the other half. But I'm not up for doing this whole thing if it's gonna be focused in on over Norwalk Central.
No, it is
And-
absolutely not.
But that's based on what you've said. That makes me feel like this is almost all for Norwalk Central at this point.
Norwalk Central is a huge selling point for this. It really is, but it's in their benefit to use all of our available commercial land in town. Retailers determine where they want to go. We can't tell them where they should go. I
And
mean,
again, if you had developers here at the table saying, here's half the money, I'd be on board with it, but it's not something we should be doing.
Well, maybe they'll be on board with it. If we decide to review it. But we've also got the property we're trying to
If we
develop.
pay for year one, do you think they're gonna offer to help pay for year two?
They will if we don't do it again.
I think your whole idea or your mentality using that criteria basically means no city should have an economic development department, period. It absolutely is for the benefit of the city to coordinate and to do all this. The benefit goes to the landowners and the developers always. We are a parasite on that and we get it later as a tax.
and I'd be a
But-
millionaire.
What you're saying.
If I made commission off of all the deals that I've sold for
Yes,
for
yes,
landowners.
right. I mean, so you can't use
Just
that
saying.
mentality. It
It's-
would
but-
go
but-
against the whole.
But when I hear 2 or 3 times how this is the benefit, this will
Well,
really
that's where we
benefit the
have-
investment we're putting into Norwalk Central, you said it 3 times when you were talking about what the benefit of was. You said Norwalk Central 3 times.
But Dave,
You
that
didn't
is,
men- You didn't mention any other development, and that's been my concern all along. And I don't think that this is a good investment if that's the case.
I think that this might be the first project that's really shovel ready the way it's going. So that is going to be the natural response. But later we have HH Norwalk and all the other developers that are gonna be in line right after that.
Everything that's
And Hubble,
listed, yeah,
the center ring, all that stuff.
North Shore, Marketplace. The little bits of land that we have in between some of our other commercial facilities now. Norwalk Central is just the biggest place right now that has available land, but they'll market all of it that's available.
So I would make a motion to approve it for 1 year with the option to renew.
And I would second.
Public comment? Okay, so I got a motion by Livingston, a seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
No.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba. No. Cool.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Let me get back to. Okay. We're on item 7C, continuation of the public hearing. Luke,
Yes, this is where I was gonna turn it over to Brian.
all right. We'll restart. Brian, you're up.
Mr. Mayor and council members. Not for sure if you've ever wrestled with a copy machine. I lost tonight. I'm not for sure what you have electronically, so if you can just take one, there should be copies of them for you at the end. Right here, we're just gonna run through these items.
Copy machine story, huh?
So this is take one and pass it down.
Take one.
Thank you.
One page, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, no. it's-
My wife told me to use my words. First off tonight, I'd like to introduce you to Tyler Stevie in the back. Tyler's gonna be the project manager, overseeing the project, doing the daily administration of the construction project. As we get a little closer to the start of the project, we will have a site superintendent that'll be here on the project daily for you guys.
Looks like it's the same dollar amount.
Two of those there.
Two of them? Which fellow back here is fine?
Are these,
Oh, the gentleman with the beard?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Appreciate having him stand up.
Sorry.
That's all right. I just wanted to make sure which one it was.
Brian, is this the same information that you emailed out
Yes.
earlier
So we
today?
have electronic.
Yes.
You
Okay,
have that,
that
on-
makes
I didn't know for
sense.
sure
No,
what
no.
everybody had
Appreciate it.
because some of that stuff kind of came together. before they did. Yeah. But so we're on a continuation of the public hearing
For the civil work, yes.
for the civil work. As far as information from that, the probable cost of this project right here was for base bid only was $1,665,000. Summation of the.
Brian, may I have one of those ones there? I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thanks.
For the civil project, just for your knowledge, the probable cost of base bid was $1,665,000. The actual summation of base bids that was received on November 10th was $1,570,000.75. So it was a very good bidding environment that the city of Norwalk received. Any other questions on the resolution?
So. We're in the public hearing for the civil project. What questions does council have or public? While you're thinking of that, I'm gonna ask Lindsay, have we received any written or oral comments on this?
We have not.
All right. Give you a little time.
I guess I don't have any questions.
All right.
You answered my big one.
Okay, good deal. So for the civil court project public hearing, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:43 PM. And we're going to go into item 7D, which is the resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract and estimated cost for the Norwalk Civil Court project. So we just had the public hearing on this project. This is the first of a series of resolutions that we're going to need to get this going. Council passed a resolution that approved the preliminary plan specs, form of contract and estimate for it. This resolution is the final approval for all of those. Holly, Luke, or Brian, do you got anything to add?
No, sir.
Any questions, discussion from council or public comment?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Livingston, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Lindsay, would you call roll?
Hold on.
What?
Stephanie was.
Just trying to figure out what I'm looking at. So when you see alternate A and C, they should add up to the alternate A and C. on here. What is this?
That's another document I'll share.
Okay, we won't look at that. We'll look at this. Okay. Well, we have another one of those up here.
Somewhere.
Okay, there was
I got it
that-
over here. It's okay. I won't look at it. TMI.
Okay.
All right, no questions then.
Okay, no questions then. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7E are resolutions awarding contracts for the Norwalk Civil Core Project for earthwork, paving, landscaping, and utilities. So the next few resolutions are to award the contracts for the work packages involved with the civil portion of the core project. So let's look at all the 4 bid packages first, and then we'll go through the resolutions. So Brian, would you please explain what we're seeing?
Yes, in front of you, you should have a document like this, either in paper or electronic. It will say civil. Approximately here, and it's underlined. This here's the bidders that we received on bid date, first off. And it lists everyone. It identifies whether they had a bid security, what their bid package was, along with acknowledgement of different addendums throughout time. Myself and Lindsay were present during the award or during the opening of all of the bids publicly. Everything was done in accordance to Iowa Code Chapter 26 throughout that process. The items that are highlighted in green are the combination bids between base bid and or alternates that I have worked with Luke, Holly, Robin, and Jean to identify that made sense for this project. The items that alternate B is part of that too, and I'm sorry, that one should have been highlighted on there. Because alternate B and base bid is what the city's portion is, alternate A and alternate C is what is Sportsplex portion of that civil utility. Now, here's one thing that I was gonna say about the nice thing about public-private partnerships, such as what you and Sportsplex have done. Just on the utilities alone, if the city would have came in and installed these items by themselves, and then Sportsplex would have done the same thing, you each would have probably spent about another $200,000 to $250,000 each. By combining those utilities together, making them slightly larger, but you're still digging the same trench, you're able to save a lot on labor and cost of the machines. So with that, I would recommend you want me to do a recommendation, or do you already have a recommendation?
Sure, go ahead.
I would recommend a contract be issued to Vanderpool Construction for base bid alternate A, B, and C, along with unit price for subsoil stabilization. I'll explain that here in a second. Jensen Builders for base bid alternate A, B, and C. Country Landscape for base bid and alternate A. Granite City Excavating for base bid alternate A, B, and C. Subsoil stabilization, as we've talked about before in previous different council meetings, that is the expansive clay that's located throughout here. We have a unit price so that any forthcoming items that we identify that we encounter, that we can use that unit price to determine what the contract change would be from that moving forward. That value includes all labor, material, equipment, overhead, and profit on that. I worked with Luke and Gene, gave them, the highest cost that might be. And then I also brought that back down to perhaps more of a reasonable estimate of what that could be. So everybody's prepared for that.
So I just want to make sure I understand. Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
So when you say award Vanderpool, Jensen, and Country, Vanderpool for the earthwork, right, is we're looking at this document that Luke has up here now, right? Vanderpool would do the earthwork for all the alternates. Jensen would do the paving for all the alternates. Country would do the landscape for all the, yeah, okay.
And granted, yeah.
And Granite would do, okay, I'm clear.
Yes.
Do we have an estimate on how much subsoil stabilization we need to do?
You know, I looked at the. That's another question.
Well, the only reason I ask is that second line bid to Macinich might be more on few of the items, but that subsoil stabilization is significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
That if that piece is significant, wouldn't Macinich be the lowest bid? And
Well,
we want to go with that one?
Unfortunately, we do not know how many cubic yards that would be. So the unit price is not utilized in this scenario for bidding to determine who is the responsible low bidder throughout the process. You have to go based upon the base bids and the alternates from that, because you can't put a number together with that.
So
I've
2
asked-
weeks ago, we asked you and you said you'd come back with an estimate for us.
And as I shared with Luke and Gene, I asked them to hold back $500,000. And that's for the entire spot. We should be through soil conditions by August of 2023. Once we get vertical, things are different. I also gave them the worst case scenario, it was about 1.5.
So how many cubic yards is that? The 500, just, I'm trying to, not doing it in my head today, so. Sorry.
The estimate that we had talked about earlier was about $1 million. Is what it worked out to be. And we asked the same question, can we change the low bid based on this? That was a question that we took to legal, to ask them the same question, and part of what Brian was saying was the same thing that he had explained to us before, so. Good catch, we asked the same question.
But that makes this bid so much, that makes that bid
But see, it's
$500,000 more.
Yeah, but when they make their bids, right, when Vanderpool, Macinich and Wenthold, when they make their bids, they know that we can't consider the unit pricing, right? I mean,
Yes.
so they make their bids, no, all with the same information
Right.
that, regardless of where they bid the unit pricing.
Dan, but I don't know how we cannot take into account the $500,000 savings and say that they're the low bid.
Well, because legally you can't.
Right.
That's the legality of the bidding process.
And you don't.
I'm not disagreeing with.
No, what I'm saying is,
But
is we can reject the low bid if there's a reason to reject the low bid, correct?
yes, but you can't reject the low bid for something that you can't legally consider. And you can't legally consider the unit pricing is what I'm understanding. And so you can't reject the bid because the unit price, you have to, we shouldn't even be looking at the unit price in our consideration.
Answer your question, that's 10,638 cubic yards.
And we have no way of knowing what the impact on the final product is until we get. Correct. Because you could do 21 soil checks. They're still missing. Right. So I think I understand. And legally, right, we're limited with what we could consider because they're all bidding off the same information.
Correct.
Right?
Was the unit price part of the bid package?
Yes.
But we
It
can't
was-
consider it. We
well,
can't
no.
consider it part of the bid, even though it's part of the bid.
It
package.
was part of the bid form that was utilized to establish that so that no contractor of any of the ones that are listed up here, if we got into an issue, would come back $80 a cubic yard.
Well, but then the flip side is that what they're charging in their base bid? Why is it not the same as what they're charging in their base bid for their dirt work?
I
I mean,
can't, I understand what you're saying.
But then they should have.
I'm just,
They should have made
I
that
just found a
adjustment
flat no on
base bid.
Jensen or Vanderpool if that's the case, because it's gonna cost the city $500,000 to $1.5 million more to use them than to use the,
Maybe.
maybe, it could cost nothing more, but at the same time,
It's, if I may talk,
please.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I think David is making a good point. If we believe truly the council has a finding after a discussion, everything believes that in the end we would spend less money, I think the council could consider that bid. But it's got to be rationally based. Because there could be manipulation. If the one individual company that bid the lower dollar amount but has a much higher quantity amount or removal amount, if they have some special knowledge or special belief in the area that they're going to be able to make up that money with hauling out a bunch of bad dirt, they very well could have made their bid purposely for that reason. But it definitely is, the council has the ability to decide what's the lowest best bid, and you're going to be kind of shooting in the dark with the with expansive soils, or whether it's there or not.
So Jim, based on what you've heard us talking about, do we have a valid basis to find that Mackinac is the lower responsible bid?
Well, all the council has to do is think that that's going to be the lower bid. I mean, if that ends up being the lower net price, then yes, I think you do. I think we want to discuss the possibilities of those type of bad soils and whether we're going to have to haul those out or not. I think we've done core sampling down there, and I think we have some experience in that area. I don't know that for sure.
Has Vanderpool
Yes, they
done-
have.
Sorry.
Yes, there has been soil borings. Hence, that's the reason why for the soil stabilization process that we're doing, Jim.
Has Vanderpool done much construction work, earthwork in Norwalk?
They're working on the site.
They are working on the site right now. Okay, before this project, do we know, have they done much work in Norwalk?
Yes.
Okay.
They're a good company.
No, and I'm just saying, right, Mackinac has done a ton here, so they have an idea of, God love us, how crappy our earth is. And right, and if the Interpool's never done work here, then maybe they don't have an idea how crappy our earth is. But if they've done work here, then yeah.
You're doing rough math on 10,600 cubic yards. That makes Mackinac $117,000 lower than Vanderpool. Netting out,
Just on
that includes all of the bid alternates and all that stuff.
100, so you took in the delta of 56,000.
I think we should go with the recommendation myself.
What?
I think we should go with this recommendation myself. And, I think because you're rolling the dice on the subsoil and how it's going to turn out. But it is good for growing stuff. It might be crappy for building stuff. But it's good growing stuff.
Why is the differential for them so much higher per the unit? I mean, that's a huge difference, 17.
Especially when their stuff's on, so it's probably where they have to haul the dirt to. I'm guessing the differential between the two is where they're hauling the dirt to. Mackinac has probably got a closer dump spot than Vanderpool.
I mean, the other one's only 35.
Who's the other one?
Windfall.
They might have a closer spot. They might have an arrangement with somebody to dump it closer. I mean, that's
Or they built that price into their 355
Right.
base bid.
true.
Like Jim said, they're subsidizing the lower costs on the bids,
So,
the higher.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
So your recommendation for Vanderpool, is it, and this is perfectly fine, I'm just trying to understand, is it strictly based on the numbers?
My recommendation for Vanderpool is based upon my understanding of Iowa code.
Okay.
First off, I'm not a lawyer. I don't claim to be a lawyer. But my understanding is responsible, low bidder.
Right.
Through a combination of different bids. On a public project, should be awarded a contract unless there is factual proof that that contractor should be disqualified. Now, based upon that, that's the reason why I'm making the recommendation for Vanderbilt. However, I don't have a vote in this race.
No, I understand that, but I appreciate understanding why you're making the recommendation.
I cannot go back to the contractors and start asking them about the pricings and those types of things at this point in time. Because a contract has not been issued or awarded by the owner. That would be considered collusion throughout that process. So it's, maybe that term's not right, but based upon the public funding for this project, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. After a contract's awarded, yes, I will call
And that's the only recommendation that we have questions about. I don't want to say we're questioning, but we have questions about.
And it's because of the
Yeah,
estimate of
because of the
10,600. I mean, thank you for that.
stabilization.
So, thank you.
Okay,
I mean, that's the piece, the stabilization piece that.
gotcha.
But I mean. I don't know how you can compare. Just based on that subsoil, because if you just look at. Glenpool excavating has 359,000 for alternate B and Vanderpool has 151. I mean, that's a huge. I don't, who knows what they're looking at and what, maybe they put part of the soil stabilization into the,
Right, I mean, I think
Rock base.
Wenthold is clearly not. Cannot be considered a low.
right, but I'm just saying,
Response.
you know, we're trying to pick apart. Who's high and low in different columns, but they're vastly different in every column,
Right.
so
Right.
and, okay, I'm sorry if I'm being dense here. Could you explain how, does this base number, like, do these numbers add across that base number? What
No,
is that?
you take base number plus the alternates.
Okay. Okay. And so, and the alternate A and C for sportsplex part,
Yes,
and the base bid plus B is the city?
yes, but
Okay,
the city needs to award base bid. and
I
B.
understand that. I just couldn't do the math, because it's, got it.
Okay, so. Not that I'm in charge, but have we exhausted our discussion?
Yes.
Okay, then I will make a motion to approve resolution. Oh, we've only done, yeah, I would make a motion to approve the resolution as recommended for E.
I'll second that.
And that
The dollar
covers,
amount got small enough that I'm.
and that covers
comfortable.
earthwork,
It could go
paving,
a little higher,
landscape,
a little
and
lower.
utilities.
That's all four.
That's
all four.
Can we do that? Yeah.
That's what I was just.
Oh,
Hey, can we do that, Jim?
Can we take them all together or do we need to do them separate?
You there?
Jim,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm immune right now.
So can we take all four together because they're all in the packet as separate resolutions?
Let's do them separate.
okay, I move E1.
Second.
So, and that's base and alternate A, B, and C.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, so
Vander.
motion by Livingston, seconded by Lester. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reva.
Yes,
All right,
I move-
motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the paving bid package to Jensen Builders for base and alternates A, B, and C?
Motion.
second,
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reva. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reva,
yes,
Cool.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the landscaping bid package to Country Landscapes Incorporated? That's for the base and alternate A.
Motion.
second,
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reva. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reva.
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the utilities bid package to Granite Excavating for the base and alternates A, B, and C?
Second.
Motion by Reva, seconded by Livingston. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Reva,
yes,
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston, Lester.
Yes.
All right,
We got this down now.
Right.
that motion carries as well. Better say that. As well. Okay, item 7G is continuation of public. Pardon?
F.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. I went too far. 7F is a resolution approving contracts and bonds for the Norwalk Civil Corps project. So this is the final resolution that we need to get passed to get the civil work started for the core project. This resolution approves the contract and indicates how the city's going to pay for the civil work.
Motion.
Second.
Motioned by Livingston, motion by Livingston, seconded by Lester. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Livingston.
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Now we're going to go to item 7G. It's continuation of the public hearing regarding the Norwalk Core project. As indicated in the title, this is a continuation of public hearing that we started the last meeting on the building portion of the core project. So Brian, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Like I did for the civil project, I do want to share with you just a little bit. When I look at the probable cost for the estimate for the base bid only on this project, that was $8,507,000. The summation of the responsible parent and low bidders was $8,500,310. Again, a very good bidding environment for that process. Those numbers were published to the bidders, so they knew approximately what engineers' probable cost was.
I'm sure it's. Never mind.
Okay, so which document should we be looking at now?
Oops.
Don't know if I've got that one, Brian. I've got it now. Thank you.
These documents were in those big project manuals. that
Okay.
were distributed. I'd take any questions if there was.
Questions? Yeah, so. Or go ahead.
I'm just trying to, so the 8,500,310. Okay, these are all of those.
Summation, the highlighted
Got it.
green.
I just had to catch up.
And Mr. Baker, that's typically the way we do those, just by the base bid,
Mhm.
probable cost.
Do we have any public comment?
Sure is a big project, isn't it?
It is a big project. Lindsay, have we received any oral or written comments on this item?
We have not.
Any further comments? Questions from council? Hearing none. We'll go ahead and close public hearing at 7:08 PM. Item 7H is resolution approving plan specifications, form of contract and estimate of cost for the Norwalk Core project. We just had a public hearing for this project, and this is the first of a series of resolutions needed to get the core project launched. Council passed a resolution that approved the preliminary plan specs, form of contract and estimate for this project. And this resolution is the final approval for all of those.
Motion.
Oh, sorry. You're fine. Anything else to add?
Second.
Who did that? Ed? All right. So I got a motion by Livingston, seconded by Cool. Do we have any public comment? Or any further discussion from council? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yeah.
Okay, that motion carries. Item 7I. Are resolutions awarding contracts for the Norwalk Core project for the concrete, pre-engineered metal building, general construction, mechanical, electrical, and fire suppression. Did you want to say something?
I do want to say something before you go into these, yes.
Gee.
Gene, how are we gonna pay for this? This is the big one. I know they took action on the civil, but this is the big one.
Right. If you'll recall in June or July, you were here in June and July, we talked about the overages due to construction costs being up. So we kind of thought a couple options. We could go back to the reverse referendum process and borrow the funds. Another option we thought about was using lost funds. We get about 1.5 million a year for lost. And then take the projects that we were going to use, police cars, fire department gear, mowers, we need a new roof. And do like a short-term financing loan through the bank. Or we could use maybe a combination of TIF and lost to fill that gap. So those would be our options.
So what's your recommendation?
If you do not want to do the reverse referendum process, I would probably recommend using lost funds and doing a short-term loan for various department needs.
What's the advantage or disadvantage to doing a reverse referendum?
We could be subject to a petition and a vote.
And the reverse referendum was the path we took on the first part of this.
Right.
Meaning first part, before we realized the cost came back significantly higher. So we're really talking about that inflationary expense, for lack of a better word.
That reverse referendum added like 4 or 6 weeks or something to the process, didn't, because we had to have a public
Yeah.
hearing and all that, and
At a minimum, yeah.
that would impact these contracts, I would think.
The contracts are only valid for 30 days. From November 10th, after the 30th day, the contractor is not required to honor the quote.
So we can pass them. And then still go through the 6-week process to fund it.
And is there a disadvantage to doing the second option or the third, using lost and then taking the short-term loan? I mean, other than the obvious cost of a loan, but
I would say the short-term, the financing, we're just looking at a higher interest rate at this point. That would probably be whether we borrowed 3.5 or the 1.5. We could do a shorter term loan, which I think, useful life of police cars. We don't want to do a 20-year loan. I just think it's, we got to look at our options. I think right now we sit tight. We've got some cash. Maybe see what the market does and make a decision, maybe a year from now when we need that money.
okay.
We can pass this
Thank you
now
for
and then make a
that.
subsequent decision. We don't have to make
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, we have enough cash to get this thing going for a while.
so she could pull that over and give us more detail,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
We have compensating balances with the bank, so I would think we would get really good rates from them. I mean, it's
Better,
no risk.
better
no
than
risk
some
at all.
others maybe, but
True.
You're still talking 5, 6, 7% right now.
Cheating cheaters.
But we could also get more lost revenue. We could get higher property taxes next year than we're anticipating. So
There's other,
so Jensen Builders was the only one that bid on the recap, the pre-engineered building.
That is correct. Why was that? Great question.
What's your great answer?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I did call 2 other vendors that was looking at the buildings. One was with VP, one was with Star, and actually there was a third one with US Metals. That was actually the basis of design. So there was 3 contractors out there doing it. 2 of them backed away because they picked up other work right before this bid came out. So with the shortages of manpower and such, even though there's no LDs here on this, they don't want their names all over the front page of the Des Moines Register, of course. And the other contractor I contacted never received a quote from his metal building provider. So he didn't feel comfortable for the value of this bid to turn one in.
So does that Do those factors cause us any concern about Jensen Builders' ability to actually perform?
No, I've worked with Jensen before. The nice thing about this right here, not only do they have the concrete, they got the pre-engineered building too.
Right.
So there's no pointing no fingers about this is wrong or that's wrong. They did it all. Okay, when you look at the bids for that I mentioned earlier. From a holistic perspective, okay, so the bids per discipline may have got out of whack, but the overall summation, which is what's more important, is correct. And right in there. So based upon that, I'd still recommend awarding contract as listed.
But I like that, frankly, I like that we have, there were so many bidders. Maybe that's, you don't see this as so many bidders, but it looks like a lot of bidders to me. And I like that the work is getting spread out among a variety of businesses. Maybe that's also not a good thing, but I like it. So,
You take this list of bidders right here and take that times 8x or 10x. And that's about the number of plan holders that was out there looking at this project.
all right.
Does the Jensen, is that 3 million, does that number seem reasonable to you?
For the project. For that given day. I don't have really anything else to judge that about.
I've never built a building that size, so I really don't have that.
It's somewhat complex for a pre-engineered building. But it's gonna be a very nice building. And be something that the city of Norwalk and all of its citizens can be proud of.
And we are not doing then alternate 2 or 3.
That is correct. The alternates right there, 2 and 3. I sat down with Luke and Robin and we reviewed those different items right there. Alternate 2 was dealing with operable windows. So with the exterior windows of the offices for Parks and Rec had a small louver down at the bottom that they could open up, fresh air. We talked about that. Fresh air is great. But you already got ventilation coming into this building, plus you have a VRF system. So that's going to be very economical. You think about at home, I've got geothermal, that's pretty economical. I might open up my windows in my house 5 to 8 times a year. Depending upon what the weather is, or if my neighbor's shelling corn.
Okay, but what about the roof construction, right? Because I assume the building's gonna have a roof.
Yes, that right there was that right there was a different type of a panel system.
Okay.
We currently right now, I'm gonna throw some terms. I don't expect you to know those, but right now your roof system will be a simple saver insulation with a standing seam metal roof on top of that. That standing seam metal roof should provide you 50 years plus of usable life. That is quite, that's double of what you might have from a typical EPDM roof on some of your local city facilities. The alternate was an add alternate. And what that did was that took away the simple saver and that created almost like a sandwich panel. So you had aluminum skin on the bottom, you had insulation in between, and then you had aluminum on the top. The reason why we had that in here is because we had one manufacturer during design development of the project say, because of the pitch of this roof, it might be less expensive from a labor perspective. Materials cost more, but labor would be down. Well, this bid didn't show that savings, so I would recommend not accepting that. As far as an R value, energy efficiency, they're both the same.
So your recommendation is everything that's green.
Correct.
Okay.
So I move I(1).
Okay, and that's for the base bid. So
Yes.
award the contract to Jensen Builders, motion by Livingston, seconded by Reba. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the pre-engineered metal building bid package to Jensen Builders for the base bid?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Baker. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the general construction bid package to Land Sync Construction? That's for the base bid and alternates 1 and 4.
Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reva. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the mechanical bid package to Brockway Mechanical? That's for the base bid.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Reva, seconded by Livingston. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Livingston.
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the electrical bid package to Van Manen Electric? That's for the base bid and alternate number 4.
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Livingston, seconded by Reba. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to award the fire suppression bid package to Tri-City Fire Protection for the base bid?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Lester, seconded by Livingston. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Reba.
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. So item 7J, resolution approving contracts and bonds for the Norwalk Core project. So this is the final resolution needed to get the work started for Core. Resolution approves contract and indicates how the city is going to pay for the work. So Holly, Luke, or Brian, any last words?
Not regarding that, but I would like to take a few minutes, if you'll let me, to share of what's next in our process that we
go for
have. The contracts for this project for both the civil and the core building have been written along with all exhibits. I think we shared those with Lindsay earlier, the draft format. Those will be finalized and distributed. Those will be mailed out. Will require a wet signature on all those contracts. They'll be brought back,
Glad you have to sign those.
and we'll present them to Mr. Phillips, Mayor Phillips, for signature at one time, maybe 2 times.
All right.
Also, notices to proceed will be distributed tomorrow to all contractors that were awarded a bid on this project here tonight. Next steps from that, a couple things we need to be thinking about. We talked about contingency earlier. And we're gonna be saving some of those funds back, and I'm working with Luke and Jean on those right there, and we'll keep you abreast on that. As we move forward into the construction project, once a month, when you receive the applications for payments, you will see an overall perspective of the financials from that right there. So you'll have one sheet, almost like an executive summary, to look at those, and then whether they go into your consent agenda for approval or you approve them one by one, I'll leave that up to you. Probably our biggest thing that we're gonna get going on immediately is we're gonna get a pre-construction meeting scheduled with all of the contractors. The roles of the pre-construction meeting are, 1, introductions to everybody. And 2, to set the groundwork and determine the schedule that's already set so that we maintain that schedule and get it going. The clock started just a few minutes ago when you guys approved this contracts. And we need to get the pre-engineered building. It's probably the longest lead item that we have on this building to make this happen. So that's our busy schedule for the next couple weeks up through Christmas.
Awesome.
Any questions about that?
No, I'll make a motion for Jay.
All right, so motion by Livingston, seconded by Lester. Any further discussion?
Will we get updates from time to time?
With that monthly report, you'll receive a project management report or a progress report
Okay.
throughout that. Just for the sake of saving time, I mean, the biggest 3 things that I know myself as a public servant, as serving on another board, budget, schedule, scope. Where are we at? Those are the things that you're most important about. We'll give you those high level ideas of what, or concepts of where we're at through the things. We'll bring forward any items or issues that we need to have to resolve. But we will have that. If you choose, come out to our job trailers. We'll definitely dig into it and go clear down into the weeds if you want.
All right.
Bro, hey, just be careful if you have coffee. He might be there a lot.
I like.
They have to be good coffee.
No,
He's not.
as long as it's free, that's.
Under $3. you're okay.
$99.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a vote or what?
I was gonna say, Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Reba. Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Okay. Moving on down this. Item 7O is a second reading of an ordinance amending chapter 50, 51, 52, 135, 136, 151, 165, 175A, 175E, and 175H of the Norwalk Municipal Code to update infraction violations of various city nuisance and zoning codes. So this changes to update some infraction violations and zoning codes. They're all listed in the packet. Luke Paris is online if you have any questions for him.
Motion.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reba. Any public comment? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Reba. Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7P. Final reading of an ordinance amending chapter 160 residential code in the Norwalk Municipal Code by adopting the 2021 International Residential Code with amendments. Tony Stravers was here a couple meetings ago to go over this change. Luke's online. If you have any questions, or if there's any public comment.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Lester. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Reba. Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Livingston.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7Q. is final reading of an ordinance amending chapter 177 rates and fees of the Norwalk Municipal Code. This change is just to update our rates and fees for next year. This is a fairly routine change. Luke Nelson's here if you have any questions.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Reba. Any public comment? Hearing none. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Councilmember Reba. Yes. Cool.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Item 8, council inquiries staff update. Carrie is here to talk about staffing plan.
Yes. Thank you. Didn't know we were gonna get there that fast.
That's a good thing.
So in the agenda packet, you'll see the memo along with the complete staffing plan. It's very long. So I certainly won't walk you through the entire thing. But as we did last year, I worked with the department heads to get information from them about what their staffing needs are. And many of them put together, a mini report about their department and the growth that they've seen and the needs that they have. And that's all included in the plan. So we compiled all of this information and put together all of the requests, which we do have set out in a spreadsheet to summarize it in the staffing plan. So we did that. Lots of time, lots of hours went into the staffing plan, not just myself, but certainly the department heads and Luke. And then we also talked with the admin policy work group about it as well. But at the end of the day, in looking at the budget, it was determined that we're likely not going to be able to add new staff beyond the city attorney, an IT position, and then transitioning one position in Parks and Rec from part-time to full-time. There's just not money available because we've done great things in the past few years in taking care of our current staff. And so the dollars that we will have available in fiscal year 24, and I'm sure Jean could talk more about that, but that's going to be eaten up by those increases that we made, and as well, we have union negotiations going on this time of year to go into effect July 1. So we're going to have to do some increases there as well. So I still wanted to be able to provide the staffing plan so that you could see all of the hard work that went into it, and that you can see these really are our needs. We just need to get there. We're not there yet, being able to accommodate them, but the growth is real. In this memo on the first page there, I put together a chart of just the city's growth. I started here about 5 years ago in 2017, and before I started putting together this information, I thought, oh, I bet we've increased about 10 full-time staff members, and we've actually increased by 18 in the last 5 years. That's 20. We increased our full-time employee count by 25%, which I found that it shocked me. So we've definitely seen lots of growth and good growth. And then I have it marked out by department too, so you can see where most of the growth has taken place, fairly evenly spread all around. If there's any questions that you have as you go through the 100-page staffing plan, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. I think I don't know that he's going to speak on it tonight, but his recommendation is no additional staff moving forward for fiscal year 24. So with that, I'll leave it open for questions.
The only thing I will add is that I've had discussions with a few department heads about this whole concept of making a recommendation on no new staff next fiscal year. Some of them say, okay, but if that's what we say, then we need to stick to that. And I was quick to respond, we've been nimble, and I want to make sure that we remain nimble. So even though this is the recommendation today, just what yesterday or this morning, Staples and I were talking about the COPS grant. Well, if we're going to give up some federal dollars, that's a factor we still need to consider. So we're still looking into that maybe instead of no staff hires in a particular year, maybe one starts mid-year or towards the end of the year. Also, once Jean gets finalized numbers, all these are factors that can change what these recommendations are.
I think, I appreciate all the work that's gone into this by the staff, because believe me, I understand, right, what's behind all that. And I think that I'm okay with accepting this, and then we'll see what our funding looks like going forward. I think we should maintain flexibility as much as we can, right? Understanding that it's going to be skinny for a little bit. But hopefully the investments we've made will create some opportunity a little bit further down the road where we can implement some of these things. And I don't doubt that these things aren't genuinely needed and they would improve our operation, right? So I accept the fact that these are good ideas. So I want to maintain flexibility, right? And be able to weigh those things going forward based on what actually happens to us, what we actually see. We think we got an idea what we're going to see, right? But we really don't know until it's right on it, right? So anyway, that's my only comment. But I appreciate the work. Thanks for putting that together.
Absolutely. And again, it wasn't just me. The department heads did a great job of supplying me the information and taking the time in their busy schedule to write things up. So
You take somebody to coordinate it though.
yeah.
But it's nice having a plan. You got to have a plan to deviate from. That's it.
I too
Bottom line.
appreciate all the work from everybody. I know that, right, 100-page plan to say we're not making any recommendation, right? That's a lot of work.
Right.
For what seems like no payoff. I do think it's important to note that in addition to increasing staff over the last 5 years at 25%, we've also made significant effort to increase wages and benefits and the things that are important for retention. And think we have great staff, and so I think it's worth keeping them around. Is there a thought that in a next year, things will look a little bit different and we might be able to increase staff? Or is it too uncertain?
If you mean by fiscal year 25,
Yes,
maybe,
the next year.
yeah, the
yes.
following fiscal year, yes. And again, we're gonna know so much more a year from now,
Right.
based on what we just see in the economy.
Right, agreed.
We had a thing in the military called authorized but unfunded, which was an interesting category. I mean, if you can figure out where the heck to come up with the money.
So we can say yes and say no at the same time.
That's kind of what they did.
Yeah, I like that.
You could buy anything you want in the store, I'm just not paying for it.
That's right. You figure out where it's gonna come. I offered sponsorship tickets on the, the stickers on the side of the cruisers. I said, I could have this sponsored by maybe City State Bank. Council did, they did.
Yeah. I'm glad they did that. Carrie, you got anything else?
This week was our employee appreciation week. So we had breakfast on Tuesday for staff. Wednesday, we gave out the Norwalk hats. And then today we had a food truck come out. Our food truck that we originally had scheduled canceled last minute, so we ended up going with another one, and I think it went well. I know my lunch was delicious, so
Well, good. I'm glad you found one.
it went well, and we've already started to get some feedback, both positive and constructive. So for us to put in place for next year, so hopefully next year can be even better.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Holly, hotel proposal review.
Yes, I just want to give you kind of a very general overview of where we're at with the hotel situation that we're in. So it's all very positive, but we did commission a group to go out and do a new hotel market study several months ago, and they've turned it in. We have the full comprehensive report. It's huge and wonderful. There's a lot to it. That's all very good, positive information. So I'll send that out to you all tomorrow. I think I sent the executive summary, at least at the ED committee, but I'll send it out to everybody else as well. And then staff is working on kind of a slimmed down version or just a bulleted point version of that entire study also, in case you're interested. With that, adding in some extra research to kind of find out what is a general incentive package city by city with comparable types of communities to ours. Ty's been working on that, and there's just kind of not an average right now out there that she's finding yet. She's going to keep on looking. But we do have one of our hotel developers here, Ryan Houston, back there with Houston Construction. So you guys are all familiar with him. They've been working for a long time, very hard to get a hotel here in Norwalk. And so we appreciate their diligence. We have 3 hotels right now that are looking very seriously at Norwalk. So we have the Huesmans, and they're hoping to, I think, have their land under contract soon, north of our new Chatham. So it's a great place. And then we have another hotel that is under contract for land in Norwalk Central. And then we have a third one that's just floating right now. They've been very aggressive, but they're, I would call more of a mid-chain, kind of smaller, more boutique, whereas Ryan's hotel and the other one that's under contract, those are higher level flags. So with that being said, the hotel market study did show some really favorable numbers and just favorable information in general, that while this company was out doing this research, they were just getting inundated by hotels wanting this information about Norwalk. So that was very positive. And then they provided what the average room rates are, projections, occupancy rate projections and things like that. And Ryan said that it looks pretty straight on for what he's been experiencing in their industry. And it looks good. Just for example, in 2025, they're projecting an average room rate of $137 a night for an upscale hotel. And then for the upper mid-scale, $115 a night. I don't know, Ryan, if you have any additional information on some of those numbers, but okay. And they did say that we have the market, all of the information they put together, we have the market that would support 2 to 3 hotels right now from mid to upper scale brands. And what's interesting is the Hilton True, I guess is just considered a mid-scale, even though it's a Hilton. So, hey, if that's our mid-scale, that's great. And then the upper scale, I guess, would just be a straight would just be a straight, Marriott, Hilton, those brands without the town place suites and those types of offshoots. So that's just some very general information about what's going on there. We'll send out the full report to you all if you want it. It'll be a lot of information. But moving forward, I think what I would like some feedback, if possible, from you all is just how you feel about the incentive general package that we will be discussing with these different hotel development groups. So internally talking with Jean and just working on finance and Luke and just comfort level where we're at with budget and everything. We know at this point, we're not very comfortable doing anything on a cash grant sort of basis. We looked at our general TIF rebate program that we've been doing with different developments and what we've had as offers in the past for hotels. And then the hotel motel tax rebate is another area that we've looked at. And so basically what we came down to, a comfort level that's affordable, the city would still be getting some good income and it would be enough to help these hotels kind of get off the ground their first several years, is Luke Nelson said that he is comfortable with going up to 50% of the value, taxable value of that hotel's project in terms of total incentive package. So example of that would be if a hotel's total value is 8 million, their taxable dollar amount then would be 7.2 million. So that means we would not want to give them more than 3.6 million total in incentives. However, that package comes together. So what we're looking at doing is a max of 15 years of 70% TIF rebates. And if we're using this $8 million example, that would be $2.34 million in the 70% TIF rebate up to 15 years. And then 60% of the hotel motel rebate from what they generate, just their hotel would generate for up to 15 years, or maxing out at that remainder of what's left of that 3.6. So in this case, it'd be 1.26 million. And based on one of the hotel's revenue streams that they showed us, that would be hitting about year 11 to get that remainder. So I feel like that's a fair, if we're just going to have this kind of set structure that we have available to various hotels that come in so that it seems fair to them and we're not way offshoot on one and much lower on another. Their total dollar amount that they end up with will be fully based on their value and their revenue from their hotel motel tax. If we just stick with that percentage base and stick within that comfort level internally that we have come to. So I don't know if you have any feedback on that or.
If you use that would generally give about the same amount of payoff time anyway for each one, right? Because it would be proportional.
Yep. And we may end up with a hotel that's at a $10 million value, who knows, or maybe 6. They're just kind of all a little bit different. But right now that mid to high level flag of the 80-85 room, 4 stories, they're kind of coming in around the 7-8 million value as of right now. They don't
Maybe that new company that we're looking at hiring could talk to Trump Towers.
Good suggestion.
44 million.
The tax authorities, but work a bunch to the bank.
There you go. That's it.
I think
That bracket is comfortable, or that kind of general idea is.
That sounds like a smart idea to me to do it that way.
I think I'd be even more comfortable if we could get it down to 10 years rather than 15. I get the 15.
That's their max. So I think if we're sticking with that 50%, if we're not going above 50% of the taxable value, then whatever year span that falls into under up to 15.
What if we did 80% for 10 years rather than 70% for 15? I don't know. I don't know what the numbers come out to.
Yeah, we could play with those structures within as long as we don't pass that 50%, I guess.
It'd be nice to know what West Des Moines.
Yeah.
If there's anywhere.
She's digging. It is pretty all over the board though.
Yeah, Ty's been going, looking on all of that. So
I figured.
She's got some info on Waukee, but it's been kind of hard on the other ones, finding exact
You know, I'd have to look at it with a cup of coffee.
Pretty soon, there's gonna be a trailer sitting out in Norwalk. You got anything else? Holly?
Well, the only reason I wanted to bring this up tonight is because soon we will be having some development agreements coming forward with these, at least the top 2 hotels that we're working with. And I just want to make sure that we're not way off base when I bring it forward so that you're prepared for this idea. It's lower than what I brought before, I'll say that.
Ryan, I hope you're one of the top 2.
It's
I hope so too.
Okay, good.
a race, it's a race right now.
There we go. Made the best hotel win. There we go.
Right.
And they, based on the study, they'll be fine going in at the exact same time. I mean, based on all the information that we have right now.
5 years.
I know, they don't want it.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Anything else?
I'll stop there.
Okay, all right. All right, Jim, what do you got?
I have nothing.
Yeah, I think you got 6, so you didn't have to come in and face Ed after
I
Friday's game.
think that's exactly right, Mayor. He's shucking me right now.
Maybe I was sick because of it. I don't know.
All right,
Polish that trophy up, Jimbo.
Steph. David?
We approved the name Core. This is me. I just don't remember.
That's a good question.
I don't think
No.
we've approved.
No
it.
one knows.
Okay. That I keep getting asked because it's liked by a handful and disliked by a handful. And so I just didn't know if we'd approved that or not. Sorry.
We are bringing that to council soon to determine a final name on it because it is, yeah, we've got to.
I know my personal feeling, but
Officially.
I will just tell you that internally, it's an easy way for all of us to know
Yeah,
we're.
they call it.
we're talking about the
that's
same
all I
thing.
was, I don't mind that part. I just was wanting to make sure that if I couldn't remember if we approved it. So thank you.
Hopefully
That's
the
all I have.
naming rights. will
All right.
decide a lot.
Yeah.
Real good planning and zoning meeting. And most of it was spent dealing with what do you call it, I-fill?
Infill?
Infill, that's it, infill. You know, because it's an odd, older, misshapen lot.
Yeah.
And there was conversation from the neighbors. They had some concerns with what was being contemplated. But that'll come to us, I think, next session. We'll take a look
Yeah, I
at
believe
that.
so.
request.
Yeah.
That's right. But they recommended approval of addressing that property in that manner. And then the key to the whole thing, of course, will be the site plan. Later on. And that's it, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Luke Paris.
Yeah, not a lot tonight. We did get 3 more building permits in for residential, so that puts us up more than double from what it was before. So that's
Right,
good.
Eric.
We're getting there. But you know, the interesting thing with that is on development side, we just got a submittal today for the first piece of the Hackney Hills project that we approved earlier in the year. So that would be that condo area that they've been talking about, and then some townhomes, and then like maybe 10 single family lots. So it's about a quarter of that development. Been talking with the Echo Valley townhome folks they're currently building infrastructure out there, and they're looking to final plat that here in the coming weeks. So still people chugging along with getting lots available for things. So we'll see as the coming months go how the house building continues. But certainly we've got the ability to bring them online when their interest peaks. Other things on the inspection side of things, we're rolling out the rental stuff a little bit more intense, I guess. So we've got a system in place where we've been working with the water department to identify all of the kind of harder to identify rental properties in town. And we're in the process now of notifying them of the need to get an inspection done, and looking to get a lot of those wrapped up here in the coming months too. So that's all I've got.
All right.
Where were the Echo Valley townhomes you're talking about there?
It's the ones in Marketplace,
By
east of
ship.
Marketplace, drive south of the apartments.
Yeah, by ship.
Yep,
Yeah.
shift, correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Luke. Tony.
Nothing else from me tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Wayne.
Thank you, Mayor. Update on the North Avenue project. We have some good weather yet tomorrow. They're gonna do some more permanent paving at the highway there. After tomorrow, the weather kind of drops off, so we're probably gonna get forced to stop the permanent paving. The plan moving forward is to do some temporary pavement at Lane to get it all paved surface again and get that open back up for the winter to have 2 lanes of traffic everywhere. We'll have a lot of it open back up. Some of it will still have some traffic controls, traffic cones out there. And work to do in the spring. I'll remind you, we had about 8 to 10 weeks of delays from franchise utilities. That was Lumen and Mediacom primarily for the delays on that. And he would probably be done about 8-10 weeks. That's probably, the schedule is correct. It's just the delays that we had caused problems. So that's all I have for tonight.
So do I understand correctly what you're saying, then, right? That'll be open for traffic, but there'll be some cones in the area. There'll be some restrictions in the area.
Correct. We're not gonna get Kitterman and North Avenue replaced. One Casey's intersection permanently replaced, and then Lane Avenue. The median's not gonna be in. Permanent pavement markings, we'll get some temporary ones in, and the sidewalk. And they're still working on the traffic signalization.
All right, but it'll be
But the
functional.
driving lanes will be better and they'll be opened back up.
Okay, thank you.
And that's due to the cold weather.
Yes, we can't do any more paving. They're gonna continue to work on the traffic signals. They'll get the footings poured. Next week, they can do those, and then they can start working on the poles, mast arms, that kind of work.
Yeah, they've been selling a bunch of concrete all over the town the last 3 days.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Got anything, Jeremy?
Nothing from the fire except for a reminder of Santa Day on December 10th at 8 a.m.
All right. Very popular.
We're good, though. We've already got our new coach, so we'll be all right.
Okay. Okay. Chief.
Yeah, last night, we had our Cops with Carts event. On Tuesday morning, Stephanie volunteered to match city employee contributions up to $500, and at that point, we had $150, and miraculously, 24 hours later, we had 800. And then 2 hours after that, we had 1,000. So Stephanie stopped by Fairway last night, and I told her it was 1,000. She said, okay, so she matched 1,000. And it's really kind of neat because she's always taken a special interest in the project, and the Cops with Carts was actually her name idea. Over lunch at the chamber lunch, holiday lunch several years back. So, but with Stephanie's large contribution and this great community we live in, we gave the food pantry last night 9 carloads full of food. And when I say carloads, those are police cars with the hatch in the back full, and then the back seats, because they have a cage, food can't spill into the driver compartment. So you can roll the windows down and put food in and stack it to the ceiling. So that was actually 5 police cars stacked full like that, and then the bed of a full-size pickup truck full twice. So that was 9 carloads of food. Went up there last night, and then after the council meeting on the 15th, once the city issues a check, we will give the food pantry another $5,400 in cash. So that's probably more than a $10,000 event in 2.5 hours. So it's just a fun day.
Bravo.
Awesome. Good job.
Thanks to everybody.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's all.
Did they have enough room for all the food, though?
No, in fact, they needed cereal. They always need cereal.
Yeah.
And Fairway had a sale on cereal yesterday, and some of the cash we use to buy stuff at Fairway, which is what they do anyways, but we buy it and haul it up there for them. We bought 500 boxes of cereal, and they had to get a special room to put it all in.
I bet so.
So that was fun.
Good.
Fun for us anyways. So
Good.
that's all I
Good
got.
for you guys. Good job.
Good job. Thank you. Cool. Gene.
Just been working on the CIP. We have about 150 projects throughout the next 5 years between all the departments. Finance Committee is gonna take a look at those next Wednesday. We'll send those out to them tomorrow, and we'll make sure the full council gets to take a look at them well before the February 16th approval public hearing date, so. And then did we need to do a tornado update?
At some point, yeah.
Did you have some question?
I just was curious where we're at with the whole thing.
Okay, we had about $229,000 in damage estimated. We got $195,000 back from insurance, so about 85% of that, you know, we had deductibles and a bit of depreciation. The main repairs are to public works. We have $100,000 just in garage door damage. And then the roof was like 25,000. And we had some damage at sports complex, the concession stand and fence. And then I think we had a storm siren, ironically, storm siren damaged in the tornado. So they replaced that.
So those repairs got accomplished and then.
Have we got all the garage doors in?
Still in process.
The doors are all in, not all the openers and trim work, but they're operational now.
It looked better than the plywood.
It was long ago when I saw plywood out there. That was why I was asking. the question.
The week you brought it up was when the doors got put in.
Thank you. And then one more question. There's a power pole laying down out across from Michael Foods and Windsor Windows. Well, the light pole's not power pole. It's one of the lights that were up down there. It's still laying out there. I'm just wondering if that's something that we should get with American on. I don't know who.
Yeah, we can send that.
It dawned on me when I was out there a couple weeks ago, so.
Okay.
And I just remembered that, so sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Cool. All right, anything else, Gene? No. Robin?
Winter playbook has been published. The ice rink is going up. We started on that today. It's gonna be over at City Park again. And the lights at Elizabeth Holland are changed and ready for the holidays, so.
Looks good.
Great.
Thanks. That's it.
Lindsay?
Nothing.
Brian?
Just props again on the props and cards. Good news.
Okay.
I don't have anything, but I do have a question for Wayne. if I'm allowed.
Sure.
So this morning, there were two men walking up and down my street and I thought they were talking about sidewalks. Do you know if they're making plans to do the repair and if they plan to do it before the winter?
Joe's been communicating with them. They know they need to do it. I'll have to get an update. I haven't heard anything here in the last 2 or 3 days. I'll get an update for you.
Okay, that's fine. I was just because I heard them talking about doing work, and so I just thought the timing was perhaps not ideal. If they
Correct.
were gonna do it now rather than in the spring where it might be more ideal. So they don't have to come back and do it yet again. But I'll leave that to your expertise.
I'll let you know. I'll give you an update.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, if you're a rock band, it's all about making the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah.
For cities, we made the cover of Cityscape magazine.
Nice.
Holly, I thought for sure you were gonna touch on this one.
It's one of the things I forgot.
We got a few things to worry about. This got sent out. I think the link went out to council members. It really is a nice article that they wrote up for us. So that was pretty cool. Just wanted to do a shout out.
Will something on this reappear in Norwalk Living Magazine? So our residents could see the similar information.
You know, that was a great idea.
That's a good idea.
Is Ty?
Good
on?
idea, all right.
Hey, Vaughn, snag that.
Yeah, I'm here.
I stopped casting, so I don't know that you can see, but you saw that link to the Cityscape magazine.
Yes.
Yeah, she helped.
Maybe that's something we could reach out to Norwalk Living and just share with them that piece and say it might be nice to do something locally.
Sure, I can definitely get that out.
All right.
Maybe post.
I'm also going to take it and put it up on the website tomorrow morning and share it across social.
Great.
Cool. Excellent. Yep. Thanks, Ty.
All right.
Yep.
The only other thing I had is that right now it's just a meeting of two, myself and Mark Parrington. Once a month, we are having Southwest Corridor meetings. And I would imagine that those continual meetings will start to engage and pull in some additional people. It's just a way to make sure that Schneider is continuing to work on it. It's such a massive project. It just kind of keeps them on course and also shows some of the progress. So just keeping you apprised that there is activity occurring there.
Good.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Awesome. Thank you. I know Ty has been working on website, and the new website, I believe, has been launched.
Yes, it has.
And so.
So,
I'll let you take it.
oh, okay. I was just gonna say, feel free to go out to the website, take a look around. If you see something that you'd like added to it, feel free to reach out to me. It's been a good learning process for all of us. It's really easy to navigate. And it's way easier to edit from our end. So being able to push out more information quickly is a huge plus with it too.
Yeah, cool. So thank you. And for council, I sent you a blank copy of Luke's review for 2022. If you can get that to me by Wednesday, I would certainly appreciate it. And, yes,
Mayor, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention
No.
something, but
you're done.
you're going to be aware though, that tomorrow a press release will be coming out about one of our developments that we've been working on and we'll announce. So it's super exciting. So be aware that that's coming out. Not from us either. It's from the development, the store.
It's embargoed until tomorrow.
Yes, because they're closing on their property tomorrow and they're putting out the press release and then Ty will push it out.
Is there a way for us to make sure that you forward any of that to us?
Yeah, Ty will definitely be all over that.
Very good. There
Yes.
you go. Thank you.
All right.
Will be the last to know.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so that's already filled out in that evaluation on Luke. No,
no,
I'm joking.
it is blank. All right,
Fill one out for you ahead of time.
let's move on. Item 9 is a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 20.17.3 to discuss labor negotiations for police bargaining unit agreement. Jim, is this a valid reason to go into closed session?
It is. Yes, it is.
Motion to move into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so a motion by Cool, seconded by Livingston. Pardon?
Great.
Yes. Lindsay, would you call roll?
Yes, sorry. Councilmember Cool?
Yes.
Livingston? Yes. Lester?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Reba?
All right, so we are exiting close or open session at 8:02 PM and we will be back in about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
In closed session in 5 minutes. That was pretty close to. I want you to know. Right?